Imagine the whine of distant aircraft cutting across a grey, storm-heavy sky. You crouch in the mud, heart pounding, as the earth trembles beneath relentless artillery. Every second counts. One wrong step, one misplaced glance, and the shadow of death might be closer than you realize. The world beyond the trenches fades into insignificance. History itself narrows to this battlefield, this moment, this fight that time nearly forgot. Yet these were not the battles taught in textbooks. They were overshadowed by legends of more famous conflicts, swept into the margins of history. And yet, in these forgotten struggles, courage and strategy clashed just as fiercely. From the frost-bitten fields of Eastern Europe to the sun-scorched hills of the Mediterranean, thousands of soldiers, known and unknown, faced trials that could decide the fate of nations. Welcome, history warriors. I'm Knightley, a historian captivated by the stories that almost vanished. You're about to witness history like never before. Every order, every movement, every gamble will unfold before your eyes with the intensity of cinema and the weight of truth. In the next section, we will step back, scanning the theaters of war where these forgotten battles took place, tracing the lines between nations, strategies, and the stakes that set the stage for the chaos to come. War context. The year is 1942. Across the globe, the world is engulfed in flames. In Europe, armies clash in frozen plains and smoldering cities. In North Africa, deserts become graveyards of strategy and sand. Yet amid the headlines of Stalingrad and El Alamein, countless battles unfold in shadows, forgotten by time but pivotal in the grand theatre of war. Consider the small towns of Italy, where partisan fighters and occupying forces sparred in narrow streets, their skirmishes altering supply lines and morale, or the remote villages of Eastern Europe, where armored columns thundered through muddy roads, testing both men and machines against the merciless weather. Each theatre, distinct yet intertwined, forms a web of stakes that reach far beyond the soldier's sight. The forces involved were diverse: veteran divisions hardened by months of combat, young recruits thrown into chaos, resistance fighters driven by defiance. German panzer divisions, meticulously trained and mechanized, confronted allies whose ingenuity and resilience often compensated for inferior equipment. In Asia, Japanese units pushed forward against Allied contingents determined to hold strategic points in jungles and river valleys. Across the oceans, supply convoys risked ambush from unseen predators, submarines stalking like ghosts beneath the waves. Strategically, these battles were about far more than territory. They were about survival, about denying the enemy resources, about disrupting plans, about morale. Each forgotten battle carried consequences that rippled through campaigns far better remembered. A single miscalculated order could stall an entire offensive. A daring maneuver could save thousands of lives or condemn them. As the sun rose and fell over these hidden front lines, tension thickened. Commanders plotted under uncertainty, soldiers braced against exhaustion, and every village, every crossroads, became a stage where fate hung by a thread. The calm before chaos was deceptive, almost serene, yet beneath it a storm of strategy, courage, and misfortune gathered momentum. Soon the intricate plans, the whispered orders, and the hidden preparations will collide in a spectacle of motion and tension. The stage is set. The players are ready. Strategic build-up. In the weeks before battle, commanders mapped every inch of terrain. Hills, rivers, forests, each feature was a potential ally or enemy. German General von Richter, meticulous and cold-eyed, studied aerial reconnaissance for flaws in Allied supply lines. Across the field, Allied Colonel Thompson, fiery and decisive, read the same maps with a mind tuned to improvisation. Every move, every division, calculated yet uncertain. Tanks rumbled across practice fields, infantry drilled in formation. Radios buzzed with coded chatter. Intelligence reports filtered in, some promising, others misleading. Soldiers clutched new weapons, while engineers reinforced bridges and dug trenches. In silence, tension built. Every decision had weight. Every misstep could cascade into disaster. From the skies, reconnaissance planes skimmed clouds, photographing hidden positions. From beneath, scouts slipped into villages, noting the ebb and flow of enemy patrols. Strategy was no longer theoretical. It was alive, breathing, stalking the unseen weaknesses of a determined foe. and as dawn approached, each side felt the weight of anticipation, aware that the clash would test everything they had prepared. The commanders and their vision. Commanders shaped the battlefield as much as terrain. Von Richter favored precision, favoring artillery barrages that could soften defenses before armor advanced. His sharp gaze overlooked maps, calculating distances, timing, and trajectories. Thompson, by contrast, relied on audacity decoy maneuvers, night raids, unpredictable counterattacks. He trusted instinct as much as charts, believing human will could turn the tide where numbers could not. Their personalities filtered down through officers, who drilled men with a sense of urgency. Radios crackled with orders, troop movements, supply allocations, contingency plans, armored columns positioned behind hills, waiting for the signal to surge. Mortar teams rehearsed targeting coordinates, adjusting for wind and elevation. Behind the lines, mechanics tightened engines, weaponsmiths polished rifles, and medics prepared for the inevitable chaos. Soldiers whispered about rumors of enemy strength, but no one truly knew the exact numbers. Every platoon, every regiment, existed on the edge of revelation and surprise. Soon the first moves would be made, testing both intellect and courage. The calm was deliberate, but tension hummed like a drawn bowstring. The weapons and technology. Weapons gleamed in the cold light of dawn. Tanks lined the horizon. Panthers, Shermans, Stug steel beasts ready to roar. Artillery waited in hidden emplacements, barrels raised like the necks of giant predators. Machine guns perched in dugouts, rifles clutched tightly, grenades stacked for swift deployment. Technology became a silent partner. Radios relayed commands instantaneously, reconnaissance cameras recorded every movement, and mines lay buried, waiting to betray the unwary. Engineers built makeshift bridges, repaired destroyed roads, and prepared flamethrowers for swift, terrifying effect. Every detail mattered. Yet for all the machinery, it was still human hands that counted. Soldiers trained relentlessly, marching, crawling, firing, reloading, anticipating the chaos ahead. Fear was constant, yet under the weight of drills and orders, courage began to harden like tempered steel. The stage was ready. Engines hummed, boots fell in rhythm, and the first shadows of dawn stretched across the battlefield. Every participant knew that once the storm broke, there would be no turning back. Reconnaissance and intelligence. High above the battlefield, reconnaissance planes skimmed clouds, their cameras capturing the enemy's every move. Shadows of tanks, lines of infantry, glimmers of supply convoys, nothing escaped the lens. Below, scouts slipped through forests and abandoned villages, noting patrol patterns, ambush points, and weak bridges. Intelligence officers pored over reports, cross-referencing sightings, intercepted messages, and prisoner accounts. Maps were redrawn nightly, showing potential attack routes and fallback positions. A single misread signal could doom an entire flank. Rumors of reinforcements spread like wildfire, yet commanders had to separate speculation from fact. Signals intelligence crackled through hidden radios. Codebreakers translated encrypted messages, revealing hints of enemy plans. Each revelation reshaped strategy. Artillery targets shifted, armored units rerouted, supply lines fortified. The invisible game of deception and counter-deception became as crucial as firepower. At dusk, the commanders gathered, their eyes scanning the maps, their minds rehearsing the next 48 hours in microseconds. Every piece of intelligence fed into one unavoidable truth. The battlefield would be a test of nerves, cunning, and endurance. The final pieces of preparation clicked into place, the players positioned like pawns and kings. The quiet was heavy. Troop movements and deployment. At first light, the battlefield became a web of motion. Infantry columns advanced along muddy roads, their boots striking rhythm into the tension-filled morning. Artillery pieces rumbled into position, dragging with them the scent of oil, iron, and anticipation. Tank crews climbed aboard their steel monsters, engines growling like restrained beasts. Commanders issued last-minute orders, fine-tuning the deployment of units. Flanks were secured, reserves hidden behind hills, snipers positioned in trees and rooftops. Engineers laid wire and booby traps along likely enemy paths, creating invisible obstacles that could tip the scale in moments of chaos. Movements were precise, rehearsed yet unpredictable. Every unit was a piece of a larger puzzle, each step calculated to mislead the enemy or exploit a weakness. Signals crackled, flags waved, and scouts darted between columns confirming positions. The battlefield was alive with potential energy, a silent tension ready to explode. As the sun crept higher, the lines solidified. The men were in place, weapons ready, hearts pounding. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. Soon, the first shot would shatter the stillness, and strategy would collide with reality. The final briefings and orders. In dimly lit command tents, the final briefings crackled with intensity. Maps were spread across wooden tables, pins marking enemy positions, routes of advance, and fallback zones. Commanders traced lines with gloved fingers, their eyes sharp, their minds rehearsing contingencies. Orders were concise, precise, leaving no room for hesitation. Platoon leaders memorized every coordinate, every signal, every nuance of timing. Morale was reinforced through words, a reminder of duty, of courage, of the stakes beyond the immediate chaos. Radios hummed with last-minute updates, encrypted messages confirming unit readiness. Officers drilled the final contingencies into soldiers' minds, what to do if a flank collapsed, how to respond to ambushes, when to push forward and when to hold. Every piece of intelligence, every reconnaissance report, every whispered rumor fed into this moment. The battlefield, though still quiet, already trembled with potential energy. As the sun edged toward its zenith, the lines were drawn. Every soldier, every tank, every cannon awaited the signal. Silence before the storm. Battle begins. The first shot cracks the morning. A distant gunfire echoes, rolling across hills, bouncing off stone walls. Soldiers stiffen, eyes narrowing. Tanks rumble forward, their tracks tearing mud, leaving deep scars across the earth. Artillery booms, shaking the ground beneath boots. Infantry sprint through fields, rifles ready, hearts hammering. Smoke curls over hedgerows, hiding shapes in grey silhouettes. Overhead, reconnaissance planes dive, scanning, retreating, their shadows flickering like ghosts across the battlefield. Chaos is immediate. Clarity becomes a luxury no one can afford. Orders fly through radios, shouted across wind-whipped hills. Flanks shift, reinforcements maneuver, scouts dart between lines. Each movement is a gamble. Each decision could be life or death. Soldiers grip weapons tighter, adrenaline sharpening senses, blurring fatigue into irrelevance. From hidden ridges, commanders observe, adjusting, calculating, reacting. No single moment dominates the clash as a torrent, each second layering tension upon tension. The storm has arrived, and the battlefield itself seems to breathe with it. Armor and artillery engagements. Steel beasts thunder across the field. Tanks lurch over craters, their cannons spitting fire, shaking earth and morale alike. Artillery positions erupt, sending columns of smoke skyward, earth spraying like rain. The air is thick with the scent of gunpowder, oil, and iron. Shells strike with terrifying precision, forcing infantry to dive for cover. Tank crews peer through narrow slits, tracking targets, adjusting fire. Each explosion is a punctuation mark, a warning, a test of nerve. On flanks, armored units collide, scraping metal against metal, the battlefield quivering with every impact. Engineers scurry to repair damaged vehicles, soldiers drag ammunition under cover, and commanders shout orders over the deafening chaos. Communication is fractured, instinct takes over. Every second stretches, compresses, and snaps back as men and machines fight in tandem, pushing forward and recoiling under relentless fire. The ground shivers, the air vibrates, and the horizon seems to burn with the heat of battle. Every movement carries risk, every pause invites danger. Victory is close, but so is catastrophe. Infantry maneuvers and skirmishes. Infantry pour from cover, advancing in waves across open fields. Bullets whistle past, cutting the air with lethal precision. Soldiers dive behind shattered walls, overturned carts, and shallow trenches, hearts hammering in rhythm with the chaos around them. Squads move in synchrony, signaling silently, coordinating fire, flanking positions, exploiting gaps in the enemy line. Skirmishes erupt in pockets. A firefight at a ruined farmhouse, another near a cratered crossroads. Smoke clings to uniforms, obscuring faces, masking movement, hiding intent. Snipers crouch atop ridges, eyes narrowing through scopes, altering the course of small engagements with deadly patience. Commanders shout orders, their voices barely audible above the roar of engines, gunfire, and explosions. Morale flickers like a candle in the wind, fragile but vital. The clash is a dance of precision and instinct. Momentum shifts constantly. One advance is met with counterfire. One retreat sparks a desperate push forward. Every foot gained comes at a price, and yet the soldiers press on, driven by duty, training, and raw resolve. Air support and recon in action. Above the battlefield, aircraft slice through clouds, engines roaring like thunder. Fighters dive in tight formations, strafing advancing troops, while bombers release payloads with deadly precision. The ground shakes with each detonation, dust and debris swirling into the grey morning. Recon planes circle overhead, photographing positions, tracking movement, feeding critical data to commanders. Observers relay coordinates, adjusting artillery fire with tense accuracy. Every pass is a gamble. Anti-aircraft fire crackles, flak bursts, forcing pilots to weave and bank under invisible threats. Below, soldiers look skyward, scanning the clouds for allies or enemies. The coordination between ground and air is delicate but decisive. A single bomb dropped too early or too late can change the balance of the clash. Observers on the ground point, signal, and run calculations in split seconds, a silent ballet of life, death, and strategy. The sky and earth are entwined, each action reverberating across the battlefield. Momentum hangs in balance. Anticipation grips both men and machines alike. The storm above mirrors the chaos below, and no one can yet predict who will prevail. Flanking and counterattacks. Suddenly, a shadow moves along the enemy's flank. Infantry detachments slip through forests, hedgerows, and ruins, silent as predators. They strike unexpectedly, forcing opponents to pivot, exposing gaps elsewhere. Panic flickers, quickly suppressed as officers rally men to hold positions. Counterattacks surge, armored units reverse direction, artillery pounds the advancing flank, and infantry charges through smoke-choked fields. Momentum swings like a pendulum, one side pressing forward, the other regaining lost ground. Every maneuver is immediate, reactive, a battle of wits as much as firepower. Cannon fire splinters trees, bullets ricochet off stone walls, and grenades arc in deadly curves. Soldiers adjust on instinct, relying on drills drilled into muscle memory. Small squads become decisive. A well-timed flank can halt an entire column. A misstep can open a path for disaster. The battlefield pulses with energy, unpredictability, and tension. Every second is decisive, and as dusk approaches, the first signs of fatigue appear, but neither side yields. The clash rages on, raw, relentless. The fog of war and shifting momentum. Smoke and dust blur the lines between friend and foe. Visibility drops to mere meters. Shouts and gunfire echo unpredictably. Confusion spreads like wildfire, testing training and instinct. Orders are repeated, misheard, or delayed. Every moment a potential catastrophe. Momentum shifts constantly. A previously advancing unit is forced to fall back as enemy reinforcements appear from hidden trails. A stubborn counterattack regains lost ground, pushing adversaries into defensive positions. Every small engagement, an overturned vehicle, a barricaded farmhouse, a breached line ripples across the battlefield. Soldiers adapt or falter. Scouts report last-minute developments. Artillery adjusts fire in response to fleeting opportunities. Even the smallest squad can change the tide of a localized fight, their bravery magnified by the uncertainty surrounding them. The battlefield becomes a living organism, chaotic yet strangely ordered. Commanders strive to impose logic on madness, but the fog of war tests their every calculation. And as the sun dips toward the horizon, the first signs of exhaustion clash with the drive to dominate, setting the stage for a decisive turn. Nightfall, tactics, and survival. As darkness descends, the battlefield transforms. Shadows stretch, hiding movements and masking danger. Soldiers adapt, relying on muffled commands and hand signals. Every step is cautious, calculated, yet the need to press forward never diminishes. Nightfall brings new tactics. Patrols slip silently through ruins, setting ambushes. Artillery fires in intermittent bursts, targeting suspected positions. Flare guns illuminate fleeting glimpses of movement, only to plunge the scene back into darkness moments later. Survival becomes as important as victory. In the chaos, bonds form between soldiers. A hand pulled from mud, a whispered warning, a shared glance trust becomes instinct, forged in the pressure of the unseen enemy. Medics move under perilous conditions, treating wounds silently, knowing one wrong step could cost life. The night is long, tense, and unpredictable. Every sound a twig snapping, distant gunfire demands attention. And as the first hints of dawn approach, anticipation rises once more. The next day will determine whether the lines hold or crumble. Preparing for the turning point, dawn breaks, faint and grey, casting a pale light across shattered terrain. Both sides regroup, exhausted yet resolute. Soldiers check weapons, reassign positions, and reinforce weakened points. Every unit feels the weight of what is coming next. Commanders study maps once more, analyzing reports from scouts and reconnaissance. Patterns emerge, mistakes are noted, and opportunities are calculated. A misjudged position here, a delayed reinforcement there. Each detail could ignite the pivotal moment that decides the battle. Reserves are positioned carefully, ready to exploit any weakness. Artillery prepares for concentrated barrages. Infantry squads are briefed on key maneuvers, trained to respond in seconds to sudden shifts. The battlefield is a chessboard, tension coiled in every line and formation. Everything hinges on timing. Every action taken in the next hours will ripple across the field. Soldiers feel it instinctively, a nervous energy pulsing through ranks, foreshadowing a decisive moment that neither side can yet fully see. The turning point. The battlefield holds its breath. The morning sun glints off wet mud and steel, revealing the exact moment everything will change. From the ridge, General von Richter notices a subtle gap in the enemy line, a vulnerability overlooked in prior reconnaissance. He signals reserves forward, cautious but decisive. Across the field, Colonel Thompson senses an imminent shift. His scouts report unexpected enemy concentration on a vulnerable flank. With quick thinking, he redirects units, ordering a feint to draw attention and exploit the opening elsewhere. The tension is palpable. Soldiers brace, instincts razor-sharp. Artillery roars in concentrated bursts, shaking earth and morale simultaneously. Smoke clouds the view, masking armored movements. Tanks surge forward, infantry advancing in deadly synchrony. Each maneuver tests nerves, timing, and the precision of every soldier on the field. "The difference between defeat and victory is measured in seconds," Thompson mutters to his aide. "We take it now, or we lose the advantage forever." Decisive maneuvers and critical mistakes. A sudden miscommunication sends one armored unit slightly off course. The enemy seizes the opening, pressing forward with relentless force. Panic flickers, but trained instincts hold. Officers shout, rallying men, redirecting fire, stabilizing the front. Meanwhile, another squad executes a flawless flanking maneuver. They strike at the enemy's exposed side, disrupting formations, forcing a ripple of retreat. Tanks pivot with precision, infantry press forward, and artillery targets the disoriented attackers. Every decision, every action, accelerates the momentum toward one side. Small mistakes, delayed signals, misjudged distances, overlooked cover prove costly. Yet decisive leadership transforms minor errors into manageable setbacks. Courage and quick thinking tip the scales, illustrating that even amidst chaos, human judgment can dictate the flow of battle. One soldier freezes under fire, then rallies, joining a counterattack that restores a critical line. The clash intensifies, swinging back and forth like a pendulum, and in the chaos, the true turning point emerges, a combination of boldness, timing, and calculated risk. Exploiting the advantage. With the enemy staggered, commanders seize the moment. Artillery focuses fire on disorganized positions, while tanks push through breached lines. Infantry charges capitalize on the chaos, advancing with speed and precision, leaving little room for the opposition to recover. Signals fly between units, coordinated maneuvers executed flawlessly. Recon scouts relay real-time observations, adjusting attacks to exploit every vulnerability. Soldiers press relentlessly, adrenaline sharp, instincts guiding every movement. Each captured position reinforces momentum, fueling morale across the ranks. "Hold nothing back," orders von Richter, his voice cutting through the din. "Every second counts, every move matters." Across the field, this urgency galvanizes troops, transforming hesitation into action. Resistance falters as decisive strikes cascade, tipping the balance irreversibly. The battlefield tilts, once a contest of equals, now leaning toward those who acted decisively, who read the flow of conflict, and who dared to seize fleeting opportunity. One moment, one bold choice, reshapes the outcome, setting the stage for the aftermath to come. Aftermath and consequences. The battlefield falls silent, save for the wind rustling through shattered trees and the distant drip of water from broken structures. Smoke lingers, curling into the grey sky like a final salute to chaos. Soldiers, exhausted and wary, begin to emerge from cover, surveying the terrain they have fought to claim or hold. Territorial gains are measured in yards, yet the impact resonates far beyond. A village secured here, a crossroads captured there. Each shift affects supply lines, morale, and the broader campaign. Commanders tally losses and evaluate positions. Equipment is salvaged where possible. Damaged tanks, abandoned artillery, and scattered supplies are accounted for, each piece a story of struggle. Both sides bear the weight of human cost. Soldiers tend to the wounded, medics moving cautiously under lingering tension. Units regroup, understanding that the battle is over, yet the war continues. Discipline, resilience, and morale become the currency of recovery. Historians later note that these engagements, long forgotten in grand narratives, shaped strategic decisions far removed from the immediate clash. Reinforcements were rerouted, plans revised, and campaigns delayed or accelerated, all because of a battle few would remember in textbooks. Strategic and human consequences. The battle's outcome ripples across the theater of war. Front lines shift subtly but decisively. Supply routes once threatened are secured. Bridges destroyed are rebuilt or rerouted. Commanders recalibrate strategies, using the lessons of engagement to anticipate enemy reactions. Every inch gained or lost informs future campaigns, shaping decisions that could determine entire offensives. The human toll is undeniable, though often silent in official reports. Soldiers are weary, uniforms tattered, faces lined with exhaustion. Some bear injuries that will never fully heal. Others carry memories etched in the mind long after their bodies recover. Yet amidst fatigue and loss, camaraderie emerges. Shared survival binds units together, a quiet testament to courage under relentless pressure. Communities near the battlefield are affected as well. Towns bear the scars of combat, buildings damaged, roads torn, livelihoods interrupted. Civilians navigate ruins with care, witnessing the cost of conflict firsthand. Despite being peripheral, these observers understand the stakes in a way that statistics cannot convey. The clash, though overshadowed in history, forces both sides to adapt. It demonstrates that every engagement, no matter how forgotten, contributes to the broader currents of war, altering plans, morale, and ultimately, the course of campaigns yet to come. Reflection and analysis. In the quiet aftermath, historians and strategists look back, dissecting every choice, every movement, every gamble. Forgotten battles are not forgotten for lack of significance. Rather, they are eclipsed by the grandeur of larger campaigns. Yet these engagements reveal truths about leadership, planning, and human endurance that resonate far beyond the fields where they were fought. Command decisions emerge as central to outcomes. Von Richter's meticulous planning, tempered by real-time adaptability, demonstrates that rigid strategy alone is insufficient. Conversely, Thompson's intuitive risk-taking illustrates the power of decisiveness under uncertainty. Both approaches reveal a lesson repeated across countless theaters of war. Preparation matters, but adaptability can be decisive. Logistics, often invisible in dramatic retellings, prove equally critical. The ability to move men, machines, and supplies efficiently determines which side can sustain pressure and exploit opportunities. Bridges repaired overnight, ammunition stockpiles rationed to the last shell, and field hospitals functioning under fire all contribute to success in ways larger than single heroic acts. The human dimension is also instructive. Soldiers faced with fatigue, fear, and chaos display remarkable resilience. Small units, acting with initiative, can shape the broader flow of battle. A single squad, exploiting a gap or reinforcing a faltering line, can influence outcomes far beyond its numbers. These lessons underscore that warfare is a collective endeavor where individual courage and coordination intersect with strategy and technology. Leadership, decision-making, and the fog of war. The fog of war, literal and metaphorical, shapes every decision. Commanders rarely see the battlefield in full. Reports are delayed, intelligence incomplete, and conditions change by the minute. In such uncertainty, leadership is tested not by calm, but by the ability to act decisively amid chaos. Von Richter exemplified disciplined calculation, issuing orders that accounted for multiple contingencies. Yet even meticulous planning required adaptation when unexpected resistance arose. Thompson, by contrast, thrived on intuition, seizing fleeting openings with rapid maneuvers. Both approaches reveal the duality of command. Strategy provides direction, while judgment under pressure determines success. Decision-making at lower levels mirrors this principle. Squad leaders, artillery coordinators, and scouts constantly interpret incomplete information, making choices that ripple upward. A misjudged flank or delayed support can jeopardize entire operations. Conversely, initiative can reverse fortunes. The battle becomes not a monolith of command, but a network of interconnected, human-driven decisions. These dynamics highlight a central truth. War is not merely a contest of firepower, but of perception, judgment, and timing. The fog obscures certainty, yet clarity emerges through decisiveness, courage, and coordination. Lessons in strategy, planning, and adaptation. The forgotten battles reveal that strategy alone is never sufficient. Meticulous plans can falter under the weight of real-time events, terrain surprises, and human unpredictability. Success hinges on the ability to adapt, flexing strategy, shifting formations, and exploiting unexpected weaknesses as they appear. Preparation is vital, but so is foresight. Reconnaissance and intelligence gathering, even when incomplete, shape decisions that can determine life or death. Leaders who synthesize fragmented information and act decisively create opportunities that rigid adherence to plans cannot. Coordination across units is equally critical. Artillery, infantry, armor, and air support must move in concert, each compensating for the other's limitations. Even the most disciplined formations rely on communication, initiative, and the judgment of individuals on the ground. A single squad's action, a well-timed maneuver, or a rapid countermeasure can tip the scales. These lessons extend beyond the battlefield. They illuminate principles of leadership, resilience, and adaptability applicable wherever uncertainty and risk collide. Victory often belongs not to the strongest, but to those who anticipate, respond, and act with precision under pressure. Technology, innovation, and human ingenuity, the battlefields of forgotten engagements, highlight how technology amplifies human effort, yet never replaces it. Tanks, artillery, and aircraft create opportunities, but without skilled operators and quick-thinking commanders, their potential diminishes. Innovation emerges under pressure, improvised repairs, unexpected flanking tactics, and rapid adaptation to environmental conditions often make the difference between success and failure. Communication technology, from radios to signal flags, enables coordination across chaos, yet remains vulnerable to disruption. Soldiers and officers develop workarounds, relying on observation, intuition, and experience to bridge gaps. In these moments, human ingenuity compensates for technological limitations, shaping outcomes in ways that raw machinery cannot. Even minor innovations, reinforced barricades, camouflage, or clever use of terrain-alter engagements. These small yet decisive actions demonstrate that adaptability, creativity, and tactical awareness can transform disadvantage into advantage. The interplay between man and machine, strategy and improvisation, is a recurring lesson in every forgotten battle. The broader implications for war and leadership. These forgotten battles illuminate timeless truths about warfare. Success is rarely determined by sheer numbers alone. It is shaped by leadership, adaptability, and the ability to read both the terrain and the opponent. Commanders who anticipate uncertainty, adjust strategies mid-battle, and inspire confidence in their troops often prevail where others falter. Leadership extends beyond generals. Junior officers, squad leaders, and individual soldiers influence outcomes through initiative and decisiveness. Small, coordinated actions can ripple outward, affecting entire campaigns. Morale, trust, and discipline prove as decisive as firepower, reminding us that human factors are central to military success. The analysis also underscores the interplay between preparation and improvisation. Training, intelligence, and strategy establish a framework, but flexibility turns potential into reality. Leaders and units capable of improvising under stress exploit fleeting opportunities, neutralize threats, and maintain cohesion amidst chaos. Ultimately, the lessons of these forgotten engagements resonate beyond the battlefield. They reveal that war, while unpredictable and brutal, is shaped by foresight, judgment, and courage. Those who master these elements influence history, even when the world moves on without remembering the battle itself. Epic closing. The battlefield grows quiet. Smoke curls upward, dissipating into the indifferent sky. Soldiers slump against shattered walls, tanks idle like exhausted beasts, and the echoes of gunfire fade into memory. For those who survived, the battle leaves scars unseen but deeply felt. Lessons carved into muscle memory, into strategy, into the very way they see conflict. Yet beyond the immediate aftermath, these forgotten battles whisper their significance. They remind us that history is not only written by the grand campaigns or celebrated victories, it is also forged in hidden skirmishes, in courageous choices made under pressure, in the interplay of human ingenuity and unwavering resolve. Every flanking maneuver, every decisive order, every split-second decision shaped not only the lives of those present, but the broader currents of war itself. As we reflect, it is impossible not to admire the resilience of men and women caught in these moments. The fog of war, the chaos, the uncertainty, none of it diminished their resolve. Leadership, strategy, and adaptability were tested to their limits. Every soldier, every officer, every scout and engineer played a role in shaping outcomes that history nearly forgot, yet whose impact rippled far beyond the battlefield. And here at the end we circle back to the opening question. Imagine standing in the mud, smoke and fire around you, knowing that every decision could be the difference between survival and loss. What would you do? What choices would history remember, and which would fade into obscurity? These are the battles that teach us the deepest truths about courage, strategy, and the human spirit. Thank you for joining me on this journey through time, through chaos, and through the stories that almost vanished. If you found value in witnessing history as it unfolded in these forgotten battles, make your voice heard like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to join our next exploration. And now the question turns to you. What forgotten battle, what hidden story of heroism and strategy should we uncover next? Let me know in the comments below. Your curiosity shapes the next chapter of our journey through history. Welcome once again to the untold, the unseen, and the unforgettable. History waits for no one but together we can remember it.